Early reports suggest that the new Siri AI is actually pretty good. So when iOS 27 drops this fall, people are actually going to start using it. So what that means for you as a developer, you should probably start taking those app intents pretty seriously and get them implemented this summer. So the first article I want to share with you by Jordan Morgan, iOS 27, Your App in Siri, is a great starting point to understand the big picture of how app intents works and to get you started implementing this over the summer. So the big advantage SiriAI has over other chat assistants is personal context. SiriAI can go through your notes, messages, mail to get information about you that other chat assistants don't have. The example he gives, what was the water bottle I was thinking of getting a few months ago? And again, it'll go through mail, notes, messages, all the system apps to get this information about you. And that's well and good, again, for those system apps that are already built in, but what about third-party apps? What about your app? And the example he gives is, hey, what team did I last make a play for in Elite Hoops? Elite Hoops is Jordan's third-party app that he's making. It's for youth basketball coaches. You can draw up plays, manage your roster. So he has the concept of a team in his app. But unless you tell Siri what a team means for your app, Siri has no idea. So that's the first thing you need to understand is app entities. So app entities is a lightweight version of your model. And again, this helps Siri know what a team even is for your app. And of course, team is specific to this example, but whatever model you have in your app that Siri needs to know about. You need to learn about app entities and create a lightweight version of your model to surface up to Siri. And the next big thing you need to know is new for iOS 27 are app schemas and their associated domains. He said they're basically juiced up app intents. So Apple has already trained Siri on a lot of common things. Think mail, calendar, messages, photos, maps. So if your app data can fall into one of these pre-existing schemas, you should definitely adopt it because SiriAI will work so much better with it because it's been already trained on this so much. But a question Jordan has that is unanswerable right now because this is brand new, not too many people have worked with this, is what you can do or should do and how far your app can participate with SiriAI if you don't fit into one of those predefined schemas. And you can look at the documentation to see the whole list of schemas, but it's typically the most common stuff. Again, mail, photos, notes, messages, maps, calendar. So stay tuned for how you handle it if you're outside of those boxes, how good it works. But if you do fit into one of those boxes, you're gonna be good. Next is on-screen awareness, and this is when you're asking Siri about something that's on your screen. So for your app, you have to let Siri know what's going on the screen. And there's two methods basically. NS user activity, which this is around a single piece of content, for example, a photo. And then there's view annotations if you have like a list of things that are being presented, and here you can see them in action, user activity modifier, and then here's the app entity identifier. And I know I'm going over this real quick surface level. It's not meant to be a in-depth app intents tutorial. This is the big picture. Go dive into this article, learn what it takes to build app intents, and then you're gonna have to go even deeper into WWDC sessions. But I wanted to share this so you can get started building app intents into your apps so you can be ready for SiriAI in iOS 27 because seems like it's legit now. Seems like it's working pretty well. I imagine a lot of people are going to be using it. And if your app isn't ready for it, it's not going to be a good look. This episode of Swift News is brought to you by Bitrig. Bitrig is a Mac app that builds native Swift apps with AI. And to put it simply, think of like a Codex or a Claude Code if it were built from the ground up to specialize in native, high quality, premium apps specifically for Apple platforms. Like app intents for Siri that I talked about earlier in the episode, Bitrig has app intent support built right in so you can get your app ready for iOS 27 and SiriAI. The team is rapidly shipping new features with weekly updates. Just recently, we shipped the ability for the AI to test your app on the simulator with simulator use, as well as more tools for developers like diffs and code editing. Check it out at bitrig.com. And if you want more content from me around iOS development and agentic engineering, subscribe to the Bitrig YouTube channels. The links are in the description. Moving on, we have an article from Fat Bobman's blog about horizontal size class not being reliable. Now what does this mean? So if you were building an app that was for iPhone and iPad, a lot of times you may want to adapt your layout whether you're on an iPhone or an iPad. And a common way to figure that out was using horizontal size class. Basically, if horizontal size class was equal to compact, pretty much meant you were on an iPhone. You can adapt your layout accordingly. If horizontal size class was regular, meant you were on an iPad, again, adjust the UI accordingly. But what's going on here with the new 27 releases, iOS 27, iPadOS 27, is that is not reliable because it says when an iPhone app is mirrored to a Mac through iPhone mirroring, its window can be freely resized. At the same time, iPhone-only apps running on an iPad will also enter a resizable environment. And then there's an image of it here, or a video of the app getting resized. We all know this is not about iPhone screen mirroring. There's this hypothetical, maybe alleged folding device. I don't know, kind of looks like that maybe. But the point is, and the reason I want to share this article is because I know I use this horizontal size class check down here, right? You make sure it's compact all over the place in a lot of my apps. And that is no longer going to be reliable. So in the video, as you can see here, as he's stretching it out, right? It starts in the iPhone, like this video reset here, right? It starts looking like an iPhone, but as you stretch it out, you would expect the horizontal size class to go to regular as it gets wider. It doesn't, it stays compact. So all those horizontal size class equals compact checks aren't gonna really work in this scenario. And it's not just the horizontal size class. It's UI screen.main. You're not really gonna be able to rely on that. And then the user interface idioms, whether it was like pad or iPhone, not gonna be able to rely on that either. So if you do have this type of code in your apps over the summer before the 27 releases come out, make sure you run through your app, test this, and come up with a fix. Now, come up with a fix is easier said than done because it's gonna depend on your app. And he actually recommends a fix that he found. I wanna jump in with a quick clarification. This is a deliberate design choice by Apple. Like, it's not a bug. The article mentions this, but I kind of skimmed over it in my review, so I wanted to point that out. You can check out the WWDC 2026 video called Modernize Your UI Kit App. They discuss this in detail in that video. This article also goes into it as well. Like I said, I kind of skimmed over it and felt it was a little bit confusing, so this is not a bug. This is a design choice. You'll still have to handle it, but I wanted to point that out. All right, back to the show. He's built his own layout strategy using geometry, and who knows, this may be the perfect, amazing solution. I haven't tried it yet. I would just want to say that, like, this is brand new resizable iPhone apps. Not a lot of people have built with it. No one's actually seen it in action on this hypothetical, mythical folding device. So I would say the jury's still out on best practice, but he does offer up a potential solution should you want to try that. But again, I wanted to share this to point out, I know I have this kind of code all over the place, checking for the horizontal size class. I bet a lot of you do too if you're building for iPhone and iPad. So just want to put this on your radar. Check this out for your app, test it in the resizing environments, try Fat Bob Man's recommended fix, or if you come up with a better one, I'd love to hear it. Next up, we have an article from Revenue Cat about move your ratings prompt out of onboarding or risk rejection. So if you're not aware, a very common practice was to have your onboarding flow and right after onboarding, pop up the ratings prompt. Now this was a bit of a questionable practice, but the logic there, and it actually proved out, was that people are just clicking through onboarding, the ratings thing pops up, they hit 5 stars and move on. And that was a way for apps to gather a lot of ratings relatively quickly. And if you know anything about ASO, App Store Optimization, the number of ratings you have really impacts how high you rank. So this was a way for apps to get ratings. However, Apple is actually starting to reject your app if you have your ratings prompt during the onboard flow. But people have been thinking for a bit now, a couple months, that Apple's been either ignoring these ratings or deleting these ratings. They're kind of meaningless anyway. So now this is just Apple actively like rejecting an app if the ratings prompt shows up in the onboard screen. So if you have that in your app, your next update is probably going to get rejected. So for your next update, go ahead, take this out of the onboarding and use it in a better place. The better way to use this is after natural and happy moments. So for example, if you have a habit tracker app, maybe a user tracks a habit for 7 straight days successfully. On that 7th day, boom, pop up the ratings prompt, ask for a great ratings. They're obviously using their app, they're having success. Like, that's an example of like a great time to ask for a rating. So Apple's cracking down on this. This little growth hack is no more. I know a lot of you out there are probably using it. I want to give you a heads up. Your next app update might get rejected if it's still in there. And finally, Apple has acquired the Swift Package Index. So I wanted to share this for 2 reasons. One, to congratulate them. Swift Package Index has been out for a few years now, been super helpful to the community. If you're not familiar with it, Swift Package Index basically automatically tests every Swift package across supported platforms to make sure it works because, there's so many third-party libraries and Swift packages that you could use. When was the last time they were updated? Are they tested? Do they work on the latest version of Swift? There's so many things that you have to manually think of before you bring a package in. Well, the Swift Package Index basically checks all these for you, and it's a great place to search and find them. So I wanted to share this to let you know, hey, they've joined Apple, so there could be some improvements and some maybe first-party integrations. We don't know yet, they haven't said. They said they will let us know on their plans in a little bit. They also said you can expect it to operate as normal. So I wanted to share that to congratulate them, but also as a chance to reintroduce Swift Package Index because, new people are coming into this world every day and they may not know it exists. So if you don't know it exists, now you do. And here's a quick little run through of how it works. So you search for a Swift package, so let's say loading view, and then it's gonna pull up all the kind of loading views. So here's skeleton loading view. If you're not familiar with what those are, I'll scroll down. I'm gonna come back up and talk about what's up there. But a skeleton loading view, as you see in the picture, is this little placeholder, as your view is loading. But what Swift Package Index does that I like is you can see the latest release was 2 years ago. The latest update was 2 years ago. Maybe this package is fine, but that might raise some red flags that it's no longer being updated all that much. You can see it has almost 13,000 stars. That's a pretty good sign. A lot of people are using it. My point is you can kind of vet and research the Swift packages before you download them, right? Here's the Swift compatibility, great from 6.3. See it's good on iOS, visionOS, tvOS, and you can go through the whole README, learn about it, and see if this is a package you want to install. So again, the whole point of Swift Package Index is to have all this information so you can find the best Swift packages to put in your app. That wraps it up for this episode of Swift News. We'll see you in the next one.